Welcome to the Dawson Files, a collection of haunting cases where justice and truth rarely walk the same path. Each story stands alone, yet every investigation reveals another piece of Detective Jack Dawson's world. In these pages, you'll find love, betrayal, guilt, and redemption, the thin line between right and wrong, light and shadow. Enter the case file, and remember, every truth has its price. The rain poured relentlessly over the forest road, a thick curtain of water that erased shapes and drowned every sound. A municipal worker, hood pulled low, walked slowly along the ditch, collecting fallen branches and cursing the autumn sky that wouldn't stop opening over him. Then he noticed something ahead, among the tall grass, a white shape, stretched out, almost human. He approached cautiously. The wind flipped back the soaked sheet, revealing the outline of an arm, then a leg. The worker's heart pounded violently. He stepped back, fumbled for his phone, and called the police with a trembling voice. I think there's a dead man here." Less than an hour later, two unmarked cars and a police van screeched to a stop on the muddy asphalt. Captain Ethan Doyle, black coat, cigarette hanging from his lips, surveyed the scene in silence. Beside him, Detective Laura Bennett, notebook in hand, studied the lifeless shape. "Looks like a man," she murmured. "Yeah, and not a fresh one." The technicians began to cordon off the area. The sheet, once white, was now a grey, mud-caked shroud. When they lifted it, a man's body appeared. His face was frozen in fear. In his 40s, wearing dark pants and a torn shirt, 2 deep, clean wounds had pierced his chest. Medical examiner Dr. Mallory crouched beside him. Estimated time of death, between midnight and 3 a.m., roughly. Precise stab wounds. No signs of defense. Professional, then, asked Ethan. Mallory shrugged. Or someone who knew exactly where to strike. A little further away, the worker still trembled under a blanket. Laura approached. "What time did you find him?" "Around 8. I thought it was a bag. Then I saw the hand. Did you touch anything?" "No, nothing, I swear." Laura took notes silently. Her gaze returned to the body. Under the rain, the scene looked almost theatrical, a curtain of mist, a nameless victim, and a deserted road that seemed to swallow the world whole. Ethan stubbed out his cigarette. "Take the body to the morgue. Let's start by finding out who he was." He gave one last glance toward the dark forest. Someone took the time to come all the way out here to kill him, and even more time to hide him. His voice dropped. Crimes like that don't come from chance. In the car on the way back, Laura broke the silence. "What are you thinking, Ethan?" "I think that guy wasn't from here." "Why?" "Look at his shoes. Brand new, no mud on the soles. He was brought here, not dropped." Laura nodded. "So, we start by finding out who brought him." "Yeah." "Before the rain washes away what's left of him." The road vanished into the fog. Their investigation had just begun. The morgue smelled of cold metal and disinfectant. Rain still beat against the opaque windows as Dr. Mallory slid the steel tray out. The body appeared, waxy, motionless, as if still holding a secret between its ribs. Estimated time of death between 12:30 and 3 a.m., Mallory said, his voice tired but precise. "Coles?" asked Ethan, arms crossed. 2 fatal wounds, one penetrating the abdomen, upward trajectory, the other through the chest, piercing the heart. The rest are superficial cuts, maybe torture, maybe just to confuse us. Weapon. Fine, rigid blade. A quality kitchen knife or a well-sharpened switchblade. Nothing exotic. Defensive wounds? Mallory shook his head. None on the forearms. Either the attacker surprised him, or he knew the person and didn't see it coming. Laura Bennett jotted notes without lifting her eyes. Toxicology? Samples in progress. You'll get a preliminary report tonight. I also found white fibers stuck to the shirt, probably from the sheet he was wrapped in, and traces of clay-like mud, not the same as from the ditch. He was transported before being dumped. Ethan stared at the stainless steel table like a puzzle missing its frame. Anything else, Doctor? Mallory looked up. Yes. Rigor and temperature confirm the window of time. And that face. He saw the blade at the very last second. Fear leaves marks. At the fingerprint lab, machines hummed. A technician waved at Laura. We've got a 100% match, already in the system. The stream displayed a name, Victor Harris. Criminal record? Asked Laura. Petty thefts, drug use, 2 bookings for possession. Residence, Ravenhill. That's 500 kilometers from here, she murmured. Ethan picked up the wall phone. Ravenhill PD? Captain Doyle, Graybridge. We've got one of your guys on our cold table. Yeah, Victor Harris. A crackle of static. Understood. Can you confirm his profile? Known associates? He listened, jaw tight. 3 close friends, Eddie Collins, Ray Porter, Louise Grant. Small-time crooks, sometimes together, sometimes solo. Thanks, we'll fax the warrants within the hour. He hung up. They knew him well, a bunch of scavengers who play in fields too big for them. The first interviews began that afternoon. A bare room, bolted table, flickering neon. The worker, you didn't see anyone on the road before you found him? Asked Laura. No, just that white bundle. The rain drowned everything. Tire marks, headlights, sounds, nothing. Only the water. Laura signed the statement. If you remember anything, even the smallest detail, call this number. The man nodded, red-eyed, still shaking. Local residents, door after door, the same refrain. No, don't know him, didn't hear a thing. Wouldn't go out in that weather. One old woman, though, frowned. Cars pass by late sometimes, like they're looking for a place to stop unseen. Do you note the plates? Asked Laura. Can't see well enough anymore. Ethan made a note. This road wasn't chosen by chance. That evening, a video call with Ravenhill opened on a cluttered office. The local lieutenant spoke fast. I know. Harris hung out with Collins, Porter, Grant. Petty jobs, small deals. Rumors of cocaine lately. Nothing seized, but it's moving. Any disputes? Asked Ethan. Arguments, yeah. Neighbors complained about shouting, slamming doors. We'll need their movements for the last 48 hours. Got it. Sending what we have. Laura muted the mic. We've got the ID, the circle, the window of time, but nothing that explains why he died here. Then we'll ask his friends, said Ethan. That night, tension rose like a black tide through the precinct corridors. 2 interrogation rooms, mirrored glass, cold coffee. The 3 friends had been brought in, voluntarily, at first. The Ravenhill officers handled the questioning, streaming live. Video interview, Eddie Collins. When did you last see Victor? What are you looking for at the time? 3? Maybe 4 days ago. Don't remember. Where? At Ray's place, I think. At Ray's place. I do not like the players for the day. Was there an argument? A nervous tick? Money stuff? Same old. Love? Drugs? No comment. Video interview. Ray Porter. Did Victor mention traveling? Number. You're lying, Ray. He was found dead in Graybridge. How would he get there without you knowing? Ray shrugged. Went silent. Video interview. Louise Grant. Neighbors say you fought recently. I know that the usual. We argued, yeah. He took stuff that wasn't his. What stuff? Asked Victor. We did. He's not answering. Still nothing. No material proof. No license plates, no witnesses, no cameras. The storm outside had stopped. But inside Graybridge PD, the hunt had only begun. At 11 p.m., the preliminary toxicology report came in. Cocaine in the blood, announced Dr. Mallory over the phone. Non-lethal concentration, recent use. So he was using that night, Laura noted. And he didn't fight back, added Ethan. He trusted the wrong person, or never saw it coming. A heavy silence followed, thick as a stage curtain. Captain, Laura said softly, if Victor came from Ravenhill, someone lured him here, or trapped him here. Ethan grabbed his coat. The rain had stopped. The asphalt gleamed like a washed blade. Tomorrow, we sweep every place that keeps a guest book but no cameras. Motels, cheap hotels, bars, clubs, and we keep pressing Ravenhill for alibis. He paused, his gaze hard. If he was brought here, someone drove him, and someone watched without speaking. We'll find them. In the distance, the city dimmed its lights. The night, meanwhile, had started to talk. The next morning, the rain had stopped, but Graybridge still smelled of stagnant water and wet asphalt. Inside the precinct, the coffee machine wheezed like an old animal, and the officers entered silently, still marked by the night. On Captain Ethan Doyle's desk, reports were already piling up, phone records, Ravenhill files, photographs of the body. One detail kept surfacing in every statement. Victor Harris wasn't just a junkie, he had a debt. A debt too heavy for a man with no future. That morning, the rumor spread through the building. Another crew had recently been robbed of cocaine. A tougher team, better armed. Ravenhill whispered the name. Everyone feared. Carver's gang. Men you didn't provoke. Laura read the intel note. Carver and his men had reportedly lost 2 kilos of cocaine. The main suspects? A rival group of small-time dealers, probably Victor Harris and his crew. Ethan set the paper down, so either his own guys punished him for taking too much, or the big fish decided to make an example out of him. Either way, Laura said, it stinks of revenge. At 9 a.m., Victor's 3 former friends were brought to Graybridge under discreet escort. Eddie Collins, thin, nervous, jaw clenched. Ray Porter, heavyset, eyes empty. Louise Grant, the youngest, pretending not to care. The tired faces of men who had seen too many neon lights from the wrong side of a police station. They were separated into 3 rooms. Room 1. Eddie Collins. Laura sat across from him, file under her arm. Eddie, you know why you're here? Because Victor got himself shot, right? He tried to sound casual, but his fingers drummed on the table.
You two were close.
We hung out, yeah. Small jobs, nothing serious. Drugs, a nervous smile. Sometimes, who doesn't these days? Laura slid a photo in front of him, Victor's bruised face under the white sheet. Eddie instantly looked away. You seen him recently? No, not since, I don't know, a week maybe. A week's a long time when you share everything. She paused, letting the silence stretch. Word is you had fights. Over unequal shares. That's bullshit. Bullshit that leaves bodies behind. Eddie's jaw tightened. Sweat gathered at his temple. Through the one-way mirror, Ethan watched silently. Room 2. Ray Porter. Ethan took over. Ray sat with his hands clasped, eyes fixed, a man already resigned to line. Ray, I'm not from Ravenhill, Ethan said. Here, lies don't live long. I don't know what you're talking about. Ethan dropped a folder on the table. 3 photos. Victor, a bag of powder, a crumpled bill. Ring any bells? He dealt. Not me. Funny. Neighbors say you shared everything. Ray's face darkened. He changed, started scheming behind our backs. Didn't trust anyone anymore. He stole from you, Ray. Not just me. He stole from everyone. A flash of rage crossed his eyes, brief but real. Ethan stored it away. And after that, he vanished. No news. Ethan leaned back. Want me to tell you something? Someone found your friend. 2 clean stab wounds. You got any idea who hated him that much? Ray lowered his head, fists clenched. Guys like him, they all end the same. Room 3. Louise Grant Young. Insolent. The kind who smirks even in handcuffs. Laura entered and sat across from him. Louise, you've got 18 years of stories for a 3-year record. Impressive. Gotta make a living. And Victor, was he doing well too? Louise shrugged. He took off with the stuff, didn't he? That's what people say. Who says that? Everyone. Word travels fast on the street. And you believed it? I don't care. Laura tilted her head slightly. You didn't try to find him? To get your share back? Why would I? Because you're hungry, Louise. And hungry people always end up biting someone. His smirk faltered for an instant, just enough for Laura to know she'd struck the nerve. By noon, all 3 interrogations were suspended. Alibi reports arrived from Ravenhill. The 3 men had been seen together in a downtown bar the night of the murder. Matching witnesses, camera footage to prove it. The case was slipping away again. Ethan slammed his office door. 3 suspects, 3 stories, and not one that sticks. Or maybe, Laura replied calmly, they're all telling the truth, and the killer's out there walking under an umbrella. In the records room, Laura sat surrounded by Victor's phone logs. Short calls, repeated, or to an unknown number, the day before his death. A prepaid phone, untraceable. But one cell tower ping showed movement, leaving Ravenhill at 7:12 p.m., heading toward Graybridge. Ethan appeared behind her. Someone lured him here, she said quietly. Or someone was waiting for him here. He thought for a moment. He fought with his crew. Maybe he was looking for another deal, a new contact, a bigger buyer. Laura nodded slowly, a pause. Then Ethan gave a bitter smile. Yeah, that's usually the last mistake guys like him ever make. That night, as the precinct emptied, Ethan stayed alone in his office. The bluish light from the neon cast long shadows on the walls. On his board, 2 photos now stood side by side. Victor Harris and Jack Carver, the rival gang leader. 2 worlds that never collide by accident, he wrote slowly across the board. Motive, betrayal, or fear. Then he turned off the light. The Ravenhill police station looked like a tired fortress. Grey walls, corridors filled with the smell of cigarettes and stale coffee. When Captain Ethan Doyle and Detective Laura Bennett arrived as reinforcements, the local sergeant was waiting for them, nervous, holding a thick file under his arm. You got here just in time, he said. We finally got our hands on Carver and 2 of his men. Since when? This morning. Raid in a garage north of town. Found some powder, not much, but enough to make them talk. Ethan exchanged a glance with Laura. The name Carver had been echoing through every conversation in Ravenhill like a bad refrain. A former boxer turned trafficker, he ran a small import and distribution network, discreet but brutal. They passed through a reinforced door. At the end of the hall, interrogation room 2 was already humming with tension. 2 officers stood guard over a man in handcuffs, weathered face, cold eyes. Jack Carver. Ethan dropped the file on the table without sitting down. You know why we're here, Jack? Carver smirked. No, but I've got a feeling you're about to tell me. Ethan stayed standing, voice clipped. One of your secondary suppliers was found dead. 2 stab wounds. Carver raised an eyebrow. So what? You think I'm the one holding the knife these days? Laura stepped in calm but sharp as glass. The victim's name was Victor Harris. He stole 2 kilos of your cocaine 3 weeks ago. Carver almost laughed. Harris? That rat? You knew him? Let's just say we exchanged a few words. Guys like him, you meet them, then you forget them. Ethan slid a photo across the table of Victor's body, lying on the muddy roadside. Carver stared for a moment, then pushed it back with one finger. You really think I've got time to go around killing gutter trash? Silence fell. Ethan broke it. He stole from you, Jack. And in your world, theft doesn't go unanswered. You've been reading too many detective novels, Captain. We don't kill over crumbs. We cut ties. We let them burn on their own. Laura tilted her head. And yet, he ended up dead in Graybridge, A city where you have 2 known distribution points. You call them distribution points. I call them bars. He smiled again, but his fingers twitched slightly on the table, a nervous tick. Ethan caught it. Where were you the night of the 14th? At home. My wife can vouch. She already did. Then there's your answer. Ethan leaned forward, hands on the table. You know, Jack, alibis are like bones. They always crack in the same place. The smile vanished. Carver's eyes hardened, animal sharp. Careful, Captain. Sometimes it's not the bones that break first. Laura, impassive, closed the file. We'll check your GPS logs. You're not leaving town until we're done. Carver chuckled. Go ahead, I'm a patient man. Meanwhile, Laura questioned Ben Morris, Carver's personal driver. Young, shifty eyes, twisting his handcuffs, searching for words. So, Ben, you drive Jack around at night often? Sometimes. When he needs to move. And the night of the 14th? No, I don't think so. You don't think, or you don't know. He sighed. I was asleep. Alone? No. I mean, yes. Laura raised an eyebrow. You're lying, Ben, but you're not very good at it. She placed a photo of Victor's body on the table. The young man looked away instantly. I didn't do anything, ma'am. Then why are you shaking? Because I know how this ends. You start by saying one word too many, and you end up in a ditch. Laura studied him quietly. You know what, Ben? I like scared people. They tell the truth faster than the brave ones. In the corridor, Ethan met Lieutenant Mercer from the local unit. You think they're involved? No, they look too calm, and too far removed. Still, everyone here knows Carver holds a grudge. Maybe, Ethan said, but he doesn't need to dirty his hands when others can do it for him. By late afternoon, the duo drove back to Graybridge with a pile of reports. The sky turned copper, wind sweeping puddles off the road. In the car, Laura flipped through the files. They all have solid alibis. Calls, witnesses, surveillance footage. Too solid, Ethan muttered. Like they knew we'd ask. You think they covered for someone? No. I think they let someone else do the dirty work. He lit a cigarette, eyes fixed on the road ahead. But that someone, Laura, might not be one of Carver's men. It might be someone closer. She looked up. You mean a link between the two worlds? Exactly. Someone who knows both, the small dealers and the big ones. He fell silent for a moment, then added thoughtfully, a bridge between fear and money. That same evening, the final autopsy report landed on his desk. Under Victor Harris's fingernails, microfibers, blue synthetic fabric, like those used in certain hotels. And under the soles of his shoes, traces of red carpet fibers. Ethan froze. A hotel, not a house, not a warehouse. He looked up at Laura. What if the drug story's just the surface? She frowned. You think he met someone there? Yeah. And that meeting cost him his life. Wind rattled the windows. The word hotel hung in the air, heavy and echoing. The rain had finally left Graybridge, but the humidity clung to the walls like a memory that refused to fade. The streets downtown breathed again, neon lights flashing back to life, bars glowing in gaudy colors, the nightlife reopening, indifferent to the recent murder. But inside the precinct, no one talked about anything else. Victoria Harris's body still haunted the files. Until that morning, when a young woman burst into the lobby, trembling, leather coat over her shoulders, dark circles under her eyes. Her name was Erin Blake. Her voice barely trembled when she said, I need to speak to a detective. It's about my friend. She's gone missing. Laura Bennett sat her down in interview room 3. A paper cup of coffee steamed between them. Your friend's name? Shakira Weber. She's German. 30 years old. Been living here for about 2 years, I think. When was the last time you heard from her? 10 days ago. We used to see each other almost every night. Then nothing, Laura wrote calmly. Does she work? Erin hesitated, searching for words. She goes out a lot. Bars, clubs, sometimes hotels. You mean she's a sex worker? A silence. Let's just say she knew a lot of people. Too many. Ethan, standing in the corner, studied her. Her hands trembled on the table. She carried the weight of a secret she didn't want to name. You didn't report it earlier? He asked. No, I thought she'd gone off somewhere, with someone, but this time. It's not normal, she would have called. Within hours, the Vice Squad got involved. Shakira Weber, known as Shay, was familiar to several night establishments. Former dancer, now escort. According to official records. No criminal record, no close family, just a blurred life, pulsing with artificial lights and hotel rooms. Laura and Ethan started at the Blue Velvet, a club where Shakira sometimes worked. The manager, a thin man with steel grey eyes, greeted them without warmth. Shakira? No, haven't seen her in over a week. She was supposed to show up last Monday, never did. Did she have an appointment? Maybe. Around here, appointments happen and disappear. Ethan laid a photo of Victor Harris on the counter. And this man? You ever see him? The manager frowned. No, not here, at least. Why, he knew her? Let's just say they had shared interests. The manager gave a short, knowing smile. In this business, Captain, everyone's got shared interests. Until somebody goes missing. The bar circuit continued. At the Neon Tiger, a waitress remembered Shakira, always dressed in red, she said. At the Mirror Lounge, a bouncer spoke of a man who often waited for her outside. A black car, tinted windows. But no one had seen Shakira for 10 days. No calls, no messages, no trace on city cameras. In the car, Laura sighed. 10 days, with no reports, no bank activity, no phone use. Either she's hiding, Ethan said, or someone hid her very well. The next morning, at dawn, Laura had an idea. Hotels, Ethan. The small ones without cameras, the ones no one checks. You think she stayed in one? No, I think she vanished in one. They spent the day combing through hotel registries across Graybridge. Most receptionists barely remembered their guests. But at a small place in the South District, the Sunset Motel, one clerk reacted. Shakira Weber?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Blonde, green eyes, red coat. She stayed here 10 days ago, yeah? One night, room 27. Never came back for her key. Ethan and Laura exchanged a look. Was she alone? No. I mean, she arrived alone. But a man joined her later. Do you remember him? No, but wait. The clerk rummaged through a drawer and pulled out the handwritten logbook. A name appeared on the same date, a few lines above hers. Adam Crow. Laura felt a chill run through her. That name, she'd seen it before. She flipped through her notebook. Yes, Adam Crow, one of the witnesses questioned 2 weeks earlier, in the Victor Harris case. Ethan stepped closer, voice low. That's no coincidence. No, she murmured. It's a thread we've just pulled, and we'll see how far it goes. Back at the precinct, faces stiffened. 2 cases, 2 cities, 2 victims, and now, a single name connecting them. Ethan laid the photos of Victor and Shakira side by side. Under their faces he wrote slowly with a marker, Adam Crow, point of convergence. Then he murmured, almost to himself, if he was a witness the first time, what's he hiding the second? Outside, rain began again, fine and silent, against the station windows, like a countdown that had just begun. Captain Doyle's office was bathed in a pallid light of morning. The coffee was cold, the silence heavy, and on the board a single name remained circled in red, Adam Crow. A banal name, almost faded by time, yet it returned in both investigations, like a stubborn shadow. A witness to the first murder, a customer, at the very hotel where Shakira had vanished. Ethan stared at the photo for a few seconds, then exhaled. It's no longer a coincidence. Laura looked up from her report. I reread his first statement. He claimed he found Victor's body by chance, driving that road in the morning. He works at a warehouse 15 kilometers from there. And he never managed to justify why he was headed that way? No, He said he wanted to take a shortcut. Ethan gave a joyless smile. A shortcut that leads straight to a crime scene. Adam Crow was summoned the next morning. He arrived calmly, without a lawyer, dressed in a clean shirt and dark jacket. An ordinary man, early 40s, clear gaze, short hair, hands folded in front of him. But beneath that calm, Laura sensed something else immediately. Something too prepared, too controlled. They settled him in interrogation room 1. A white light, the buzz of a neon, and tension suspended in the air, like a wire stretched over a void. Ethan sat facing him. Laura remained standing, notebook in hand. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Crow." "I didn't really have a choice, did I?" he replied evenly. "Let's say it was preferable." Ethan opened a file. "Do you remember this name? Victor Harris?" Adam furrowed his brow, pretended to think. "Yes. That's the man they found by the roadside, right?" "I was there. I already gave a statement." "Indeed. You said you saw him by chance, pulled over, and called for help." "That's the truth." Laura stepped closer and placed a photo on the table. Shakira Weber, dressed in red. "And her? Do you know her?" For a brief instant, a light crossed his gaze, a flicker of recognition quickly smothered. "No. Never seen her." Laura held his eyes. "That's strange, Mr. Crow, because she was at the Sunset Motel 10 days before her disappearance, and your name is in the same register, on the same day." Silence. Adam tensed slightly. Then he shrugged. "I was there to rest. I sometimes go to that motel when I need to be alone." "And you were alone?" "Yes." Ethan smiled, almost gently. "You know, Mr. Crow, I've spent 20 years questioning people. The guilty, the innocent, liars, the desperate. And the innocent always look the investigator in the eye. You keep looking at the wall." Adam clenched his jaw. "Who do you think I am, Captain?" "I don't think anything. I'm trying to understand why the same man appears at 2 crime scenes." He slid a folder toward him. Inside, photos of Victor's body, then Shakira's report. 2 worlds tied by the same invisible thread. Adam gently pushed a file back and rubbed his forehead. "Believe what you like, but I didn't do anything to that girl." "That girl?" Laura repeated. "You just said that girl, not that woman you don't know." Adam stared at her, mouth half open, no answer forming. The session lasted 2 hours. Adam repeated the same version. Polite, calm, too perfect. No major contradictions, only a glacial absence of emotion. At the end, he signed a statement and stood without a word. When the door closed, Laura finally said, "He's lying." "Of course he is," Ethan said. "But he lies well." Ethan sat, elbows on the table. "If he really knew Shakira, he probably met her through Victor. A deal? A drug connection? Or another kind of tie?" "Oh, more personal," Laura sighed. "This guy has absolute control over himself. No anger, no fear, as if he'd already rehearsed it in his head, because he's already killed." Silence fell again, heavy as a guillotine. That night, Ethan reread the file at home. The rain had started again. Fine, stubborn. On his desk he lined up the photos. Victor Harris, Shakira Weber, Adam Crow. 3 faces, 3 fates, 1 shared shadow. Shakira Weber's apartment was on the top floor of an old building in the East Quarter, near the docks. A decrepit facade, a stairwell smelling of rust and dust, and at the end of the corridor, a door ajar. The techs have already set up UV lamps, evidence bags, fingerprint kits, but the air still held a faint scent, vanilla and cold tobacco, almost intimate. Laura paused on the threshold and drew a slow breath. "Feels like she stepped out, planning to come back," she murmured. Ethan nodded. "And never did." The main room was organized chaos. O's on an armchair, half-full glasses on the coffee table, a bottle of wine opened days ago. But nothing suggested a hasty departure. Drawers weren't emptied. Shakira's passport still lay on the counter. Laura studied the walls, photos of her with other women, in bars, at the beach. Always smiling, always surrounded, but in each smile, something artificial, as if joy were a mask. In the bedroom, the techs were slowly finding traces. No sign of a struggle. one of them reported. "Check the closets," Ethan said. "Floorboards, corners, drawers, everything." A few minutes later, an officer called. A field of cavalries comes from the cells of the plants, a strong, silent and slow statue, the water-making gardens, a small mega stake, a sharp-kiled cavalry, a sweet black dog, a stabbing, bright muscle. "Captain, you should see this." Under the bed, neatly stored in a metal box, several micro SD cards. No labels, no names, just a small black box full of secrets. Ethan pulled on gloves and opened the box. What would a girl like her need to hide this badly? Laura answered softly. Men. Always men. Back at the precinct, the cyber unit took over. The cards were loaded one by one, with Laura and Ethan watching from behind the control glass. On the screens, the first videos appeared. Faces, rooms, quick gestures, whispers, nervous laughter. Shakira appeared in them, sometimes half-dressed, sometimes merely a spectator. The men's faces, though, were recognizable. A city councillor, a bank director, a uniformed police officer, a well-known regional attorney. Laura was speechless. Not. Good God. She filmed all of them. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Not for fun, for leverage. He mentally noted every name, every face. If someone found out these videos existed, they had a motive, a very strong one. 2 hours later, the interview rooms came back to life. The names rolled down the list. Married men, powerful men, worried men. Some shouted conspiracy, others swore they didn't know the young woman. But they all wore the same expression, a man who feels the trap closing. Was she blackmailing you? No, one notable burst out, red with shame. We met, that's all. She filmed without telling, and you paid to keep her quiet. An awkward silence. Maybe. Once, Laura noted it calmly. You're not the only one. That evening, in his office, Ethan went back over the reports. You realize, we've got a dozen men who could have wanted her dead. And all of them have something to lose, Laura replied. Yes, but none has acted yet. We need a colder profile, more precise, someone who knows how to erase a trace. She grew thoughtful. Adam Crow, she whispered. Exactly. He's got nothing to lose. Ethan lit a cigarette, watched the smoke dance in the lamplight. Asherie had a gift for slipping into people's cracks. The weak, the powerful, the liars. She captured their secrets and turned them into currency, until she ran into someone you can't blackmail. Laura turned toward him. You mean, a killer? No. Worse, a man who thinks he's serving the truth. The next morning, a tech burst into the office. We've got something new, Captain. On one of the cards, the last recorded images. The lights dimmed. On the screen, a blurry video began. Shakira, alone, sitting on a bed. She speaks to the camera. If you're watching this, I was right to be wary. I don't know who yet, but someone wants me gone. They think I'm afraid. They forget I recorded everything. Everything. Then a door sound, a blurred silhouette in the shadows, and the image cuts out. Laura froze. Ethan straightened slowly. This isn't a missing person case anymore. No, it's a hunt. And the hunter may already have come to talk to us. He motioned to shut off the screen. From now on, we walk on embers. The lights came back, but in their eyes, another night had just been lit. It was raining again over Graybridge. A thin, sudden rain that seemed to wash the city without ever making it clean. Ethan Doyle watched the droplets slide down his office window when an officer knocked. Captain, someone's here to see you. A woman. She says she knew Shakira Weber. Ethan straightened immediately. Send her in. The door opened. It was Erin Blake, the same young woman who, 2 weeks earlier, had reported her friend missing. But this time, she didn't have the same face. Her eyes were hollow, her voice hoarse. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. I'm sorry. she said in a broken voice. I disappeared. I had trouble in another town. They kept me at the station there for a few days. Laura offered her a glass of water. Take a breath. What brings you here? I have something. Something that belonged to Shakira. She placed a handbag on the table, red leather, worn at the edges. A chill ran up Ethan's neck. Where did you find that? She gave it to me before she disappeared. She told me to keep it for a few days, just in case. I didn't understand at the time. Laura opened the bag slowly. Inside, makeup, papers, a switched-off phone, and a small micro SD card tucked into a plastic sleeve. Silence fell. She knew she was being followed, Laura murmured. 2 hours later, in the digital forensics room, the monitors came to life. The card contained a single video, dated the night Shakira disappeared. The footage was blurry, filmed indoors, lit by a dim lamp. Shakira sat on a hotel bed, visibly nervous. She looked at the camera, then away, as if someone behind it was speaking. 3 men entered the frame, negotiating, holding bags of drugs. Their faces were shadowed, but one voice stood out, deep, calm, unmistakable. And another silhouette appeared, that of the first man found dead in the forest. Laura's heart clenched. Adam Crow. It's him. He was there. Ethan stood frozen, fists tight, staring at the screen, as if Crow's face would emerge from the dark. He killed her, Laura. He really killed her. In the conference room, the detectives assembled the pieces. The link was now undeniable. Adam Crow, witness to the murder of Victor Harris. Present at the Sunset Motel the night Shakira vanished. Now captured in a video recorded minutes before she ceased to exist. But one question remained. Laura asked, "Why Victor Harris?" Laura asked, "Why him too?" Ethan slowly turned a page in Victor's file. Look, the date of his death and Shakira's meeting align almost perfectly. You mean they knew each other? Not just that. They were working together. He stood and drew a diagram on the board. Victor Harris to Shakira Weber to Adam Crow, trafficking, blackmail, murder. Victor was transporting something, drugs, money, whatever. He came to Graybridge to sell. And Shakira, connected to the nightlife, introduced him to someone. Adam Crow. Laura's breath caught. He orchestrated the whole thing. Exactly. He played the middleman. Made Victor believe he could handle the sale. Brought Shakira in as insurance, then killed them both. That evening, Ethan signed the arrest warrant. But just as he sent the patrol out, a call came in. A surveillance unit had just spotted Adam Crow leaving his home, bag in hand, heading toward the southern ring road. The interrogation room was drenched in coal light. A flickering neon cast white flashes over Adam Crow's face. His hands were free, strategically, but 2 officers guarded the door. On the table, a red recorder captured the silence. Opposite him sat Ethan Doyle and Laura Bennett. No anger, no hatred. Just the patience of hunters when the prey is already caught. Ethan pressed the button. Interrogation of Adam Crow, 10:17 p.m. He folded his arms. You know why you're here, Mr. Crow? Adam nodded slowly. Yes. You found the video. His tone was calm, almost gentle. His voice didn't tremble. Laura watched him with a cold fascination, a man confessing without remorse. Tell us about Victor Harris, she said. Victor was an idiot, Adam replied, staring at the table. A small-time crook. Balti could steal from his friends and sell the goods here, in Graybridge, on neutral ground. He was looking for contacts. And you were his contact. Yes. He found me through Shakira. Ethan leaned forward. They'd known each other for years. Shakira knew everyone. Dealers, clients, people with power. She told him she knew someone reliable, someone who could arrange a discreet sale. That was me. Laura raised an eyebrow. Why you? Because I knew how it worked. I'd worked for people before. People from Ravenhill. Ethan took notes. So you organized the meeting? Yes. In a hotel room. The Sunset Motel. He smiled faintly. It was supposed to be simple. An exchange. A payment. Everyone goes home. But it didn't go that way. Adam finally met Ethan's eyes. No. He paused for a long time, then continued. When they arrived, there were already other men with me. 3 buyers. They examined the goods. Then things went wrong. How wrong? Laura asked. One of them wanted to renegotiate. Victor refused. He pulled a knife. The others reacted. It was fast, brutal. 2 blows, maybe 3. Then Victor was on the floor. You didn't intervene? I tried to stop the bleeding, but it was over. His tone was flat, as if describing something he'd seen, not done. They panicked. I panicked. We wrapped him in a sheet, put him in the trunk. They said they'd take care of it. I drove. I'm the one who left the body in the woods. Ethan's fists clenched. And then I thought it was over, until Shakira called me. A faint tremor passed through his voice. She'd figured it out. She knew everything. She filmed everything. Filmed, Laura repeated. Yes, she had a camera hidden in her bag. She always filmed, said it was for protection. Ethan nodded slowly. And she contacted you for money. She said she had the footage, wanted her share, or she'd take it to the police. Laura crossed her arms. And you agreed to meet her? Yes. At the motel. She still thought she could negotiate. He stopped, eyes unfocused. I just wanted to talk. Really? But she wouldn't listen. She kept saying everyone had to pay, that the truth had to come out. Ethan asked quietly. And then, Adam took a deep breath. Then I silenced her. The silence that followed was heavier than the rain outside. Laura closed her eyes for a second. How? I waited for her to turn. I took her scarf, the one she always wore, and I squeezed. For a long time. Until she stopped moving. I threw her body out the window at 5 a.m. Then slipped past the desk clerk to recover it and put it in my trunk. He said it without anger, without pleasure, as if describing an inevitable act. Then I cleaned the room, took her bag, her camera, erased everything. Well, almost everything. Ethan asked, and after that, I drove. Where? Adam looked up. The forest. Same place as Victor. A shiver crawled up Laura's spine. You buried them side by side. Yes, because they were connected. One led me to the other. He straightened. I closed the ground, and I waited. Ethan leaned toward him, eyes hard. Why didn't you run? You could have vanished. I thought about it. But what for? He almost smiled, faintly, sadly. You'd have come anyway. Things like this never stay buried. Laura crossed her arms tightly. You killed 2 people, Adam. No, he said softly. What do you mean, no? I erased 2 mistakes. Ethan stopped the recording. The ticking clock resumed, slow and heavy. Do you realize what you've just done? He asked. Yes, I've lightened my memory. The officers escorted him away. He didn't resist, didn't speak again. As he reached the door, he turned toward Laura. You know, Detective, it's not death that frightens people. It's memory. Then he vanished down the corridor between 2 uniforms. That evening, Laura stayed alone in the empty interrogation room. Adam's chair was still warm. On the table, Shakira's red scarf, sealed in a plastic bag. She whispered to herself, no one deserves to be erased. Outside, the forest drowned in fog. The dead, at last, had faces. But the city still hadn't found its sleep. Dawn was barely breaking over Graybridge. A thick mist crept between the trees, swallowing sounds, erasing shapes. Blue police lights cut through the gloom. Adam Crow walked ahead, flanked by 2 officers. Hands cuffed, but steps steady, almost purposeful. Behind him, Ethan Doyle and Laura Bennett followed, boots sinking into the mud, breath short. "Much farther?" Ethan asked. "No," Adam answered. "It's just there." His voice was no longer human. No fear, no regret, just immense fatigue. He stopped at the edge of a clearing drowned in fog. The soaked earth bore the scar of an old digging. There, beneath an oak tree, the truth slept. The forensic team began to mark the perimeter. A sniffer dog barked softly. An officer planted a red flag in the soil. Ethan gave the signal. The first shovel bit into the ground, a dull, steady, almost sacred sound. Minutes later, the smell rose. Earth, rot, moisture, and death. A short cry. "Captain, we've got something!" Everyone approached. Beneath the mud, a white sheet appeared, clinging to the grey flesh of a body. The same blanket that had wrapped Victor Harris. Ethan's throat tightened. Keep going. Gently. A few shovelfuls later, a second flag went up less than a meter away. A lock of blonde hair broke the surface. Laura turned away briefly, eyes wet. Silence. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Adam watched without a word. "Well," hands clasped, empty gaze. Laura stood frozen. 2 victims, 2 faces, 2 lives intertwined by one man. She whispered, "They tried to survive, each in their own way." And he thought he could erase them. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You can't erase the dead. They always come back." The rain started again, soft, insistent. The tarps closed, the evidence bags sealed, and the forest fell quiet once more. In the police car, Adam sat still, staring out the window at the landscape sliding by. On the way back, Laura broke the silence. "Do you think he regrets it?" Ethan answered after a long pause. "No. He understands, and that's worse." At the precinct, the final report was written late into the night. 2 murders, 1 motive, fear. A witness turned executioner. A woman who knew too much. A man who had lost everything except his need for control. The Graybridge Ravenhill case was filed under case closed, double homicide with full confession. Ethan signed at the bottom of the page, closed the folder, and sat motionless for a moment. "Game over," he said softly. But in the corner of his office, Shakira's red scarf, sealed in plastic, still glimmered under the neon light. A reminder, a scar time would never heal.